Welcome to the Central Ideas of Enlightenment. The Enlightenment, also known as the Age of Light, was a period in history when people believed that previous ideas needed to be tested logically to see if they were still valuable. Prior to the Enlightenment, Europe was dominated by religious and political absolutism, but the ideas that emerged during the Enlightenment represented a completely new way of thinking abbreviated as the Enlightenment. Some of the most well-known thinkers associated with the Enlightenment include John Locke, Adam Smith, David Hume, and Immanuel Kant, and among others. So, today, we'd want to highlight the Enlightenment also explored more practical issues such as how individuals of various social classes interact with one another, how trade and manufacturing should work, and how ordinary people should interact with their government. The Enlightenment forced people to logically analyze the existence of unequal social classes. Enlightenment thinkers or philosophers' views on topics like democracy and ending slavery, promoting tolerance of all religious groups, and creating governments controlled by citizens for the benefits and welfare of people. Philosophers ruled it, even if it wasn't always easy to be an Enlightenment thinker. Prior to the Age of Reason, outspoken critics of the Catholic Church or absolute monarchy faced persecution. Persecution, torture, exile, or excommunication from their country, or even death sentence. Beyond the conflicts and state building that had already occurred, increasing abundance and novelty was creeping into Europeans' everyday lives. The cultivation of new products and clothes that trace from other countries is presently ongoing. From almost the duration of its history, Europe has been a land of poverty and subsistence. Throughout the 17th century, maritime enterprise, naval prowess, and worldwide trade gave the Dutch Republic arguably the first modern economy, a special weight in the European balance of power. The widening trade routes, the increasing variety of goods exchange, the speculative trade in bubble company stocks are aspects of the theme, which also covers such topics as labor and consumption, luxury and wealth, knowledge economy, economic metaphors, and the rise of political economy. Writers, philosophers, and clerics had long debated the question of a woman's role in society, but this discussion did little to inspire government action before 1789, or to prompt the formation of clubs or societies concerned with improving the status of women. Men and women alike believed that a woman's place was in the home, not in the public sphere. Women are being abused and tortured even in the smallest thing. When a man sees a woman, they just instinctively hurt them even after they just joined the mass. Even when women are just walking in the streets, they are harmed, kidnapped, and even raped. Women had no rights. Men held women as property, and men could rape and beat women with impunity. While the Enlightenment was a period which cafe houses, scientific advancement, and skepticism towards monarchs and religion burgeoned, it was also a time when the slave trade flourished. Millions of people were enslaved and being forced, especially women. They are forced to serve drunkards in clubs and frequently being abused, tortured, and experience sexual assault. Even after all those sufferings, women are still religious. They are attending masses in the church, but even some of them are begging not to take their lives. And boom, they are killed in front of the church, a sacred place for God. Because of those human sufferings, people are protesting and are starting to voice out their minds. They are shouting and begging to be heard from the government and the church. They want equality, justice, and freedom, but sadly, some of them are risking their lives by doing that.
The philosopher Scotsman Adam Smith took on the mercantilist theory that global wealth was taken and states could only increase wealth by taking it from others when he rejected ideas about stockpiling wool and refusing entry of goods into one's country, and also remaining a subsistence agricultural economy with serfs. He advocated for manufacturing, the division of labor, and free trade. In a free or laissez-faire market, An individual will work and interact with others in the economy on the basis of their self-interest. Another important Enlightenment book was Jean-Jacques Rousseau's The Social Contract, which famously begins, "Man is born free, and everywhere he is in chains." At the opposite end of Rousseau's general will was German philosopher Immanuel Kant's attention to individual reason. He famously exclaimed, "Dare to know," as he advanced the Enlightenment's commitment to the human mind, and the ability of every person to think for themselves instead of simply obeying old commands and ideas. And in this way, can share the faith in the individual of both Jean-Jacques Rousseau and Adam Smith, and we can trace our own culture's individualism back to the Enlightenment. And lastly,
I am John Locke, and I believe being an equal and independent, no one ought to harm another in his life, health, liberty, or possessions. A human being has the right to govern themselves in whichever way they see it, and though doing so simultaneously sustaining the right to life. Individuals have a duty to respect the property, lives, and liberties of others, even in the state of nature. No one's life, liberty, or property would be safe because there would be no government or laws to protect them.
And so, in the Enlightenment, many thinkers or the philosophers went through and tried to find the solution to a lot of man's problems. Their goal was ultimately to rely on human reason, rationalism, and the ability of the mind to think through problems, in order to try and create a better society for everybody, to try and minimize human suffering as much as possible, and to try and make the world, or at least Europe, as good as they possibly could for Europeans.
in conclusion,
Following the Age of Enlightenment, Europeans had a more secular and non-religious perspective, with social critics expressing their thoughts about how society could be improved. People no longer depended solely on the Catholic Church for all of their information, instead of relying on logic and reason to establish their points. Enlightenment philosophers advocated for government changes and more equality, particularly for women and people from different socioeconomic classes. The Age of Enlightenment educated people to question authority and to try things out for themselves. Therefore, revolution was inevitable. Today, we honor Enlightenment philosophers for their contributions to the First Amendment rights for freedom of speech, press, and religion, as well as their efforts to defend those rights.